All right, good morning, guys. Quick sound check. Let me know you can hear me. What's going on, Ozzy? Good morning, man. How you been? It is Tuesday, August 13th. Back to school. Good morning, Cowboy Trader. You guys can hear me, I'm assuming. Nobody said anything. If the old technology is working for us here this morning. Awesome, appreciate that. All right, let's take a look at the markets here. So I did the morning write-up. If you guys appreciate that, Shaz. I did the morning write-up. If you guys did not see that, it is in the Discord. I dropped it in there 8:28 this morning. And all right, hold on. There we go. Distractions. Put that away for a minute. Anyways, did the morning write-up there. Today isn't as clean of a day as yesterday, I don't believe. Yesterday we had the pretty evident, kind of trend break here coming in on the hourly chart. That was fueled from the daily chart, kind of setting up that sell setup there yesterday, from Friday into yesterday. And love the write-ups, helps a lot. Awesome, appreciate that, kid. And today, we don't have quite the same market here this morning. We're kind of looking at an hourly downtrend here in place. We cracked through those 2900s yesterday. I'm going to sit back in my chair. It's a little comfortable. And we've got the weekly chart here. Again, big bottoming tail on the weekly chart. We've got this, opening print here coming in 28.85s there. Our levels from yesterday were 28.85 quarters. And in the write-up yesterday, I mentioned, if we can crack through those, get a close below, we open up the gate for, those 27.75s down in here that traded in that overnight session the other day. That appears to be what's going to happen. Now, there's a couple things that can change that from a larger term perspective here, which we'll talk about in just a second. And then right now, coming from the weekly into the daily, we've got the daily. It has triggered the daily sell setup. This bar got, just absolutely annihilated the very next day. We tried to hold on to it. That ended up establishing that 2900 pivot for us to break below, and then we just continued to drop from there. We went right out on highs on this bar and then completely reversed it. High of this bar, 2940 50s, close of 2940 50s, and we just completely reversed from there. So what I'm going to be looking for, again, coming into today, is a little bit more downside action here, but not as aggressive as yesterday here. So what I'm watching for today is we've got, 2876 here is going to be the line in the sand for the S&Ps. If we're beneath that level in the day, then I like shorts. I think we can use 2876 as kind of a benchmark to play off of. And if you look at the pre-market session here, we had that 8:30 news announcement there that came out. And right before that 8:30 news announcement, we traded up into 2876 50s. We sold off, dropped to 67.50, so like 9-point reaction there out of that 28.76s here. And what you'll notice, the biggest thing I'm seeing right now, and the reason I'm not convinced one direction or another here, is we're just hanging out at this 28.76s. So we're right on lows. S&Ps are gapping down 0.17%. We were down like 0.28, 0.25 or so when I was writing that up this morning. NASDAQ here is down 0.22%. Russell is the weakest here, down 0.26%. And the Dow at 0.19%. So those are all pretty much in alignment outside of the Russell being the weakest there. So kind of seeing all these things come to play. I did not take any futures trades yesterday. There was a good setup there at the 12:30 time frame. you just had to be super patient and wait for it. You had to have a reason to get into, a selling of a resistance there, which we did get at 12:30. We had that divergence in the Nasdaq, which worked out really nicely. Again, I just was not at the desk at that time, so I did not take that trade. But those, that same type of trade or that same type of quality of trade is unfortunately not something I think we're going to see today. And the reason being is, number one, the daily chart has triggered that sell setup, which gives us that move that we had yesterday, which is to be expected there from the trigger on the daily sell setup. And now it's a matter of if that daily chart is going to continue or if the weekly chart is going to try and take back over and basically retake that 28.85 level. So I mentioned this morning in that write-up, if we're above 28.76s here, then we can rally to pretty much anywhere we want. The real thing there is, I wrote in here, we could rally up into, kind of 28.82s to 28.86s and not really, do any damage here to the downtrend. So once we kind of get above that level, I'm not looking at longs per se until we get above 2900.50s up here. We've kind of got to get through this zone up here. That would be a pretty impressive reversal for the day and would essentially put the daily chart, that would establish kind of a higher low here on the daily chart and start pushing us higher. Again, that's not what I expect to see on the day. But if it does happen, we can be prepared for that up over 2900.50s. So basically what I'm saying there in short summary is anything over 28.76s, I'm going to let the market kind of do its thing until we get over 2900.50 to 2904 quarters. If we can do that, that's impressive. Again, like I said, 25 points or so from here. And then I'll start looking at longs. If we're just above 28.76s, again, just letting it do its thing. If we can crack through 28.76s here, we've got overnight lows at 66.75s. And I think we can take that level out and start pushing down here into 28.50 quarters. And if we can push down into 28.50 quarters on the day, I think that's where we can step in and take a look at a long opportunity for the day. If we don't get down into 28.50 quarters on the day here, then I think what we could end up seeing is kind of this stall point between the weekly chart trying to, set kind of the buy setup here and, continue the uptrend, the daily chart trying to figure out if it wants to continue from this sell setup and go lower, and then the hourly chart is basically just going to be kind of caught in the middle between that fight. And what we might see is a very sloppy hourly chart. That's not what I'm hoping we see. Again, we don't like the sloppy, choppy action. We want some, good, clean trends, some breaks one direction or another, and some nice volatility. But essentially the type of action I could see us having is something similar here to last Tuesday. This is very much similar type of action. Again, this was coming out of those lows that I'm talking about down there of 27.76s here last Tuesday. So you can see we set these lows down here, 75, 75s. We rallied up, and then this is that little morning action I'm talking about right there. This type of, hourly chart and these type of hourly bars where, we've got a 22.25 point range here in the S&Ps on this bar. We got a 22.25 point range here in that S&P bar, 17 points there. But just look at the tails. We're whipping back and forth, not quite sure of direction there. That's the type of action I want to try and avoid today. And that's what I think could kind of happen over this 28.76 level. So I don't know if that's going to be the case yet or not today, but I am planning for that. And, somebody mentioned it in the chat room yesterday is, basically these are, the times where they end up just giving back a lot of their profits from, the prior week. And last week was a good week. So we had, good, strong trends. We had some clean indications of some reversals early on. We had good ranges. We were getting to targets. This week so far, we had what I think was a good play yesterday. And then now we're going to be in that area where I don't think we have those good of a plays. So again, going to be patient this morning. I don't see any Good Nadex trades on the board, except for the one that I put up in the morning write-up, which is going to be the 28.52 strike, I believe it was, for 4:15 p.m. expiration, and that is just a scalp. That's not something you're looking to, kind of hold to the close, get the close above that level, anything like that. What I did write up in there, though, is it's a scalp position where you're looking to take 80% of the position for a nice $10 to $20 pop in the options contract, and essentially you've got the rest of it on there as a risk-free position. We want to try and make this one kind of a risk-free trade today. And what's going to be important if we do trade down to this level today, I don't know if this level trades today or tomorrow, but one day this week it should trade here, is I'm going to make a very bold prediction here. If we trade this 28.50 quarter level here, and if I'm completely wrong on this, then so be it. You guys can laugh at me, whatever. If we trade this 28.50 quarter level and we get a good solid reaction from there, that level takes us all the way up into 3012.50s. So whatever that is, 162 and a half points, 162 and a quarter points or so in the S&Ps from that move. So for those of you that are trying to do that math in your head like I am and can't do it right now while the camera is on me, 162 and a quarter points times $50 a point there is $8,112.50 per contract in the S&Ps. Again, that's going to be a multi-day, maybe even like a 2-week, 3-week swing up to that target. But again, I think that 28.50 quarter can be instrumental in us getting to that target. If it doesn't hold, then we go down to 27.76 and change, 27.75 and change, that low that we set in the overnight session from last week. So I'm willing to take a stab at longs down there. I'm willing to do it today with a little Nadex. I'll do it today as well with a little futures, and I'll look at some SPY, SPY, the ETF on the S&Ps there, the options on that one for that swing trade back up into 3012.50s. If I do set that trade up, if we do get down there, I will for sure let you guys know in the MLT Discord what strike I'm looking at in the SPY and kind of that position and what I'm doing there. That's also going to be a good time if you're finding relative strength in some other underlying stocks. So, Apple, Netflix, Amazon, Google, Facebook, whatever it is, if it's looking like it's outperforming the markets, if we're dropping down to that level and those markets aren't dropping, they're not falling, maybe they're in an hourly uptrend, excuse me, or they're basing out on the hourly chart kind of at the lower end of the range, and if we can pick that up lower end of the range and it's going to break out the upper end of the range, then we'll do that as well. So I'll scan a couple of those stocks today as well, kind of see what's strong as well. But that's going to be my game plan here for the S&Ps. It's same thing here for the NASDAQ. And NASDAQ, that level is going to be 74.6350s. We've got overnight lows at 75.14, so we got about 50 points away from that level. Overnight range in there is 80 points in the NASDAQ, 94 quarters down to 14s. So we've got a good range going there in the NASDAQ so far, 80 points. And we're about, 75.61. So we're 50 points or so off those lows now in the NASDAQ. We're just getting a nice little pop here these last 15 minutes or so. Again, levels in here, excuse me, is, wow, 75, 44, 75s in the NASDAQ, and we're popping kind of right from that level here in the last 15 minutes. Again, we've been kind of hanging out around this level, same thing in the NASDAQ as the 28.76s there in the S&Ps. The level that needs to break above for this is 76.24s. And again, same prediction in here. If NASDAQ gets down to 74.6350s on the week and we're able to hold from that, that takes us all the way up into 80.13 quarters here. And if that's going to be the case, 80.13 quarters minus 74.6350s there gives us a grand total of 549 points on a swing trade there times 20, $10,995 per contract there in the NASDAQ market for that move. again, I don't know if that's going to happen just yet. I don't know if we're going to hold here off 44.75s. This little hourly chart is going to put on a bottoming tail here and rip higher yet. The market still needs to show us what it wants to do here. So news announcements on the day. I'm kind of a little off schedule here the way I'm doing things this morning, but news announcements on the day. We had some 8:30 news there. Nothing here coming out for the rest of the day until 9:30 tonight for some Aussie news there. So I don't think we have too much to be concerned about with there. And again, just keep in mind these levels. These yellow lines are the line in the sand for today in both the S&Ps and the NASDAQ. Russell and Dow, I'm going to play the exact same way here. And I'm going to use the levels here off the S&Ps and the NASDAQ in order to play those markets as well. They have their own levels, which I'll drop here in the MLT Discord just after the bell there. But again, going to be using the S&Ps and the NASDAQ as kind of the gauge here. They're the ones that I think are moving the nicest here. Russell was yesterday the leader, showing us which direction it wanted to go here. Again, it is gapping down the most this morning. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, not in terms of levels, but in terms of if it reverses and starts showing signs of some amazing strength here or something like that. We did get a little reversal out of crude this morning. It gapped down under that 54.53 level, or traded down under that 54.53 level, and now trying to rally back off opening print. So it's had a nice rally out of those lows where we were looking at that 50.81 level down there. 50.81 came down right in through here. I've taken that level off the chart since we broke it, but that level gave us a really nice reaction. There was a lot of people looking for further downside in crude, and we had a 50.81 to 50.18 zone there, and it's bounced nicely from that, and looking like crude wants to kind of base out here and then potentially break up through kind of this 55.26 and get going to the upside. If that happens, that pulls the Russell with it, and Russell could pull the rest of these markets with it, and a couple other things there. So again, a lot of things here kind of taking place in this trend change kind of coined term that we have at the moment, kind of across the board. Another thing is gold's moving nicely today. It's up $11.70. Broke through that 50.26 or 1520.60 level, and ripped all the way up to 1546.10s in the overnight session. So there are a lot of things moving. I could spend the next 30 minutes to an hour going through each market and kind of where they're at and all that stuff. But we are unfortunately out of time this morning. It is 9:28. We got about 2 minutes to go before the bell. And I want to come back live with you guys in the MLT Discord in just a minute for that opening bell. So thank you guys so much for your time this morning. If you're new around here, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up on this video. If you want to join me in the MLT Discord, click that link in the description below. That's where you guys are going to get to hear me just kind of like this, maybe a little bit slower pace sometimes, a little bit faster pace sometimes, talking about the markets and what it is I'm looking to do each and every day as these markets are unfolding. So go ahead and click that link. Be happy to have you guys in there. And I'll see you guys back in just a few minutes. Have a good trading day. And if I don't see you, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.